welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast. This is a show where we interview successful entrepreneurs and showcase how podcasting, whether you're hosting your own show or just showing up as a guest in front of the right audiences, can help grow your business. Now, I'm your host, Karen Roberts, and today my guest here is Jeremy Yang. Now, he helps businesses grow fast by running smart, high-performing ad campaigns on Google, and he manages over $450,000 in monthly ad spend. So today's episode, we're going to talk about, can you use paid ads to actually grow your podcast? So if you've been thinking about running ads to get more listeners, build your brand, or drive traffic to your own funnel, then this episode is going to be packed with insights. You don't want to miss it. Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good stuff. First of all, what made you go into that world of paid ads? A lot of people starting out in business, they start organic, but it takes up a lot of time. But I think a lot of people are fearful of running paid ads. So what was the inspiration behind you doing this?
My inspirations, I started off, I was a high school dropout. Became like a technician. I was working a lot with my hands. Like I was driving around, fixing. I was more of a technician. And I just found a ceiling to it, and I went back to uni to do a degree. It happened to be a marketing degree. And when I came out, when I was working, bouncing around in these jobs, all this marketing stuff was like what you said, it was too slow. Everything was too slow, and I was frustrated. And one of my bosses said, Jeremy, if you want things fast, the only channel to do it is paid ads. And then I did it. I've fell in love ever since. But I did start about 7 years ago, just before COVID. And during COVID time, it doesn't matter what you did with ads, everything was making money. So I guess I was on that wave. So you couldn't go wrong with ads during that time.
Right.
You couldn't go wrong with online marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I think, are fearful of it because I suppose they're afraid of, because it is a bit of a rabbit hole, Facebook ads. I know things have changed a lot and it's constantly evolving, especially with AI. So there's not so many things that you have to set up, but you must have a particular process helping people profit from this. So what would you say to people out there, especially if they're looking to grow downloads on their podcast or driving more traffic to their particular funnel? How do you do this? How do you make this profitable?
I think for your particular audience around that, because I was paying attention to your podcast with Dave Valentine. He's on the big leagues and he plays around the $2,000 mark. I would say that for a lot of small businesses with podcasts, I think that the $2,000 mark is a very dangerous spot, right? Because you could put that money in and see no return, right? So what I would say for that type of audience is that you have to be good at face-to-camera videos, right? Which probably a lot of your audience are because they're doing podcasting and they try to get into the game. And then what you do is you can grab a lot of those snippets, those sound bites, and turn them into advertising to drive traffic to your funnel, etc. But that's key. When you're on a small budget. So what Dave was talking about is, I agree with a lot of what he said, but what he didn't really speak on was the fees that with managing ads. So what I mean by that is if you have $2,000 spent, but you add $1,000 from him, then the return is not 2x anymore. The return is a lot less, right? And you're spinning your wheels. So when you're on a small budget, you do have to do a lot of the DIY, from my 7 years experience. So you do have to know how to do a lot of it. And
No, all I was going to say is, so there's a difference, isn't there? If you're going to run an ad to something that you're going to sell, there's an instant, is this profitable or is this not? It's manageable. Yes, you've spent $1,000 in ad spend and you've made $2,000 back. That's it. But if people are looking to just use it to grow their podcast, it's not so obvious, or the money might come in a little bit later. It's not something that they got purchased. So would you recommend people using paid ads because there might be a delay on the money coming back in?
Be a huge delay. So it'd be a huge delay. I would say that what you want to do is use a percentage of your marketing budget, right? And have a humming in the background. You wouldn't go and check the stat and be like, how many people did I reach this month and all that. It's just like a peripheral effect. Eventually, whatever you're putting out there will grow on them. The podcast numbers will grow, and then they'll become your lead to your main offer. The familiarity, in a sense, yeah. But I wouldn't put money and use that as a pillar. This is it. This is like the gig. You wouldn't look at it that way. That's what I would say.
So with people that are running paid ads to a funnel with something, if it's a low ticket offer, so I'm sure there's lots of testing involved. So what is your process? How would you get people, and how long does it take to get a profitable campaign up and running?
Yeah. So initially, when we consult with people, we usually look at the funnel, the entire funnel, and we have a look at their process and the conversion rate. Like we had in other episodes, you don't really run traffic to people that like you can't close, right? So you really have to already have a process, already have a business in place. And then what we do is look at their competitors. The one thing you got to stand out in this noisy place when it comes to ads is you have to carve out your lane, right? You have to have something really unique to carve out your lane. And for you to carve out your lane, you have to look at what everyone else is doing around you. Because if your message is very similar to someone else's message, then it's going to be very hard for you to get cut through. So what we help them to do is research like the 5 or 6 closest competitors and see where they're unique. Then we help script for them, the ads for them, help the angle. Like the one thing that I've become very good at because we're spending so much money on ads is discerning what offer is going to work or not in the ads world. So when you're looking at that and you're listening to how they pitch their things, and you can really help them sharpen their message on ads, because you're only going to get 4 or 5 seconds, right, at the beginning of an ad to grab the attention, to the scroll stopper. So that's really where the expertise kicks in. So we can save them a lot of time wasting. And once you do have it, it's all about testing. You're right. So you're creating like 10, 20 videos. Whereas organic, you have one thing and that thing burns out or lasts in social media for 48 hours and it's dead. Being an ad world, it doesn't die. So when you have something that works, you can really multiply it more and more. You can put more money behind it and accelerate that growth.
But it is such a minefield, because are you going for sales? Are you just going for video views? Are you just going for, there's just so many different options. And I think that's what puts people off, right? It's just, where do I start? So for you, what is the best way of doing things? At the end of the day, the goal of running ads is to get sales, but that's the primary motive. Obviously, that's a lot more expensive as opposed to just going for video views. But at the end of the day, is there a difference between the ego metrics of I want extra video views, but are they turning into sales? That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah, I fully understand what you're saying. So in your experience with your business and people that you consult with, is there a lot of chatter about video views and traffic campaigns? Because those are dangerous. They don't turn to stuff straight away. And you would only have as a peripheral, and you really want to go for the sales campaign, especially when you are just at the, say, between $2,000 and $5,000 mark, like budget mark. You really want to go for it. And I would say the math behind it is not that complicated. I would really encourage the people to just do some back of a napkin math, and you can work it out very quickly how much you can spend and whether or not it's worth it. For real. Yeah, because I think people overlook that bit and they look into more of the fancy stuff and they get distracted. And then all the podcasts I hear about paid ads, they're always like asking the person, oh, what structure are you using? How many ads you use per ad set? Forget about all that stuff, man. Useless, waste of time. If you have an offer that doesn't convert, who cares how many ads you got in the ad set? People are going to call you. People go, okay, that's not what I wanted. They're going to move on, right? But to me, that's the distraction. But that sells courses, unfortunately, and people have to peddle that. You know what I mean? So that's a distraction.
It sounds like from what you're sharing there is that a lot of people, they're getting in their own way. They're overcomplicating it. And I'll admit, in the past, I would be definitely one of those things. I'm overcomplicating it because I think we think it's such a complicated thing to get right. But over the years, so you've been doing this, what did you say, 6, 7 years? In a massive change since pre-COVID to what's going on now. And what are those changes?
The changes, there's a myth going around. It's being debunked now. But it's about targeting, right? What options there are in targeting. So people always come to me to go, I want to target decision makers. I want to target business owners. You can't target it. Everyone's trying to target those people. So what you can target is location, age, and a very general interest. So with the age of AI, the targeting is the early call out, right? So for your offer, you'll be like, hey, you're starting a podcast, I want to get you the 10,000 views, downloads. Like that's your big promise, right? That has to be at the start. AI will recognize that, and AI has data and pixel data on all these audiences, and they will show it, right? Don't worry about the granular targeting options and all that. Call out your audience at the start, make it sharp, make the promise big, okay? Like you obviously have to be able to fulfill it, right? And then get them somewhere to go to where they can contact you. I think your funnel is brilliant. Like you have no problem on the back end.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So as I was going through your thing, like you have no problem on the back end. So a lot of people will neglect that part of it. And I think the offer is more and more important now getting cut through. So having a strong offer is really important. Having a clear offer is really important. Yeah. And just be a bit more bold with the offer, I would say. Yeah.
And I suppose there's a difference. Like a lot of people who are launching podcasts, they tend to be more the creative side of things, but you've actually got to pull on get all the emotion out of it and look at it. And like you said, it really is down to numbers. You've got to know your conversion rate. You've got to know exactly what money is going in, what money you're going to get out, and remove, which for me is probably the hardest thing, is removing the emotion out of it and just treating it as just a numbers game. And so for some people, they find that easy, and for others, maybe not. But I suppose that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's also like a risk profile you probably hear a lot about. Like when you're working with your podcaster who are artists and that kind of people, like they're very true to their brand. So they don't want to be seen as a bit of a sellout, or, oh my God, you're doing ads now kind of thing, right? So they like to take it slow. But to do advertising, you do need to have a bit of a higher risk profile, tolerance. Yeah, because it is big money, right? You all of a sudden, you're going from your one VA kind of posting organically to like bang $2,000 here. Like it could just evaporate. So
and I think that's the fear. That's the fear, isn't it? People are worried about wasting money, which is why at the end of the day, again, a lot of us tend to wear multiple hats, and they might have a small team, they might just have a VA helping them. You don't have to expect to be able to be good at all these different things. Ads is definitely a skill set, which is why rather than going it alone and testing it and losing a lot of money in the meantime, is to come to somebody like you who is an expert in it, knows what works. I know there's tons of niches, but I'm sure you've worked with a full range of different types of business. At the end of the day, I suppose a lot of it's linked to psychology, human psychology. What sort of ads are going to work, what aren't. So you're going to save the money on the front end. Would that be correct?
Yeah. I would look at the business and I would know pretty early whether or not ads will work for them just by doing a calculator. I have a calculator on my website. So I understand the question now. So if somebody came, they go, look, this is going to work for me. I do a very quick analysis. It takes about 15 minutes. Have a chat to them to ask them, look, how many hours a month do you have free to be devoted to this? What kind of budget were you thinking? And before we even spend a cent, we already know if it's going to work or not. And then we can get the process happening, which is competitive analysis, creating the assets and doing it. So
Brilliant.
I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what do you think? What do you see as the biggest challenges that people have with having a profitable ad campaign for their business? What do you think stops people from making this work for them and scaling their business?
Like just say that your audience, a lot of them are coaches, right? A lot of these coaches have the very similar message. Oh, I help executives break free from a job that they hate, right? Very difficult to pitch that in a unique way. You're going to get lost in the noise. You're going to have to come at a different angle, right? They go, oh, I help people clarify their vision or something like that. Very difficult to pitch that.
It's intangible, isn't it? You need to have something that's a tangible outcome, the big promise.
Yes, correct. You need a big promise. And also, I think a lot of coaches, sorry, I'm being very straightforward here, but a lot of coaches, they don't realize that there's so many people around you saying the exact same thing. They don't know unless they like being at this convention or something. They go, oh, I'm very similar. Otherwise, they don't know. They speak like they said, that's my thing and that's my unique thing. Maybe it's not unique. Going to more of a bright spot is artists. Like artists, music, drawing, art. They do well, man. They do well because it's like they got so much content that's available. Like music, it's endless content, right? It's endless stream of content. It's endless different types of offers, different type of grades. It's a hobby. Do you know what I mean? If you teach an executive, like this person has to be quite vulnerable in front of you. It takes a lot more trust. And an ad might not cut it. Like podcasts be good because you get to hear them for like episode after episode. But an ad, I'm going to open up to you. I don't know about all that, man. But when it's art, it's a hobby, it's some type of low risk training kind of thing. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay again. So niche is really important because that's going to determine whether or not the trust factor is going to build up quick enough and if you're going to get cut through quick enough.
And do you get a lot of people who are running actual ads specifically to grow their podcast? Is this something that's pretty common or are people a little bit slower on the uptake with that?
I would say that people utilize their podcast as bits and part of their ads, like as B-roll, as certain like funnels, as part of the funnel. But I would say that if you are spending money to grow your podcast, you got some serious money already to be doing that. Like that wouldn't be your first move, I don't think. Spending money to grow. Like you're either pretty desperate for some reason that you want some numbers for some reason, which is quite weird, or that you got excessive money, like you're tapped out everywhere. You go, I just want to spend some money here now, which is quite weird as well. I don't think that's the move. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. So paid ads, you don't think is a good formula strategy for growing your podcast?
I don't think it's good bang for buck because the podcast is not the business. They are putting it to somewhere else, right?
Yes. It's so part of the ecosystem. It's part of the ecosystem. So what I'm hearing from you, it would be more beneficial to just run ads to your actual funnel. And then that way you can still introduce them to your podcast. So you do it that way round rather than okay. That makes a lot of sense.
You would have a lot of good content from your podcast. Like there'll be bits, right? There'll be bits that you can turn to shorts and there'll be hooks that comes out of it. Absolutely you can use it. You can also use a podcast to test what resonates with people, what's hitting. Right. And you clarify your message as you're doing the podcast. So all of that peripheral stuff is great. The footage is great, but actually like making the podcast growth and the number as a goal, I don't know. Maybe the money is better somewhere else.
Yeah, I can see that. And I see a big issue is that people are just like, how do I get to it? It is a numbers game for them, but it's ego metrics. It's not that converting into actual sales. And I think that is what a lot of people are chasing. They just want to know how to increase their download numbers. But is that necessary for you actually turning those into the bottom line is you want to increase your top line revenue, right? Isn't it? The podcast is part of the whole. So working on it a little bit more back to front. That's what I'm hearing from you. It is a bit more of the process. So for people that are really looking ready to scale, do you see them being in a specific position? Where are they on their journey when running ads would next logical step for them?
Yeah, they have a very good back end. They have a strong email system. They have a strong follow-up, and they can convert cold traffic. And then sometimes it's not about the guy's salesmanship or whatever. In a tough niche, yes, you have to know how to sell. But sometimes you're just seeing a blue ocean kind of thing, right? And you're converting, you got to offer that kind of matches the market. And then you have the certain temperament that I'm always sensing in them, right? They're at a space where they go, all right, I've tried a few things. Now I'm ready to give this a go. So it's not a rush job. It's not like, here's my last 5,000. You better make this work. That's what we want to avoid. I also wanted to ask you as well, because as I'm talking to you, like when you get somebody who wants to do a podcast, do you look at their offer behind this thing? Do you say, what are you selling?
Absolutely,
Actually?
100%. What we've switched to, I have a podcast network, and yes, I help people launch podcasts. But what we have found is that most people don't keep going for long enough. They don't give it long enough because everybody is chasing this instant gratification thing. So what we've backed off to is, if you do not have your back end offer sorted out, no, I'm not even going to launch you. Yeah,
So
you've got to. And so what we do is focus on helping people guest on other podcasts first before they actually launch one. Because if they don't have an audience, look, I know myself, it's taken me 5 years to grow my audience. It was a long time, and not everybody is just giving it that time. So what I say is, look, borrow other people's audiences, find podcasts to go on, already have a certain amount of number listing. That's you get the opportunity to sell one to many, even though you're not really trying to. The whole point is that you're not selling on a podcast. But what we say is, to go from being a podcast guest to selling your high ticket offer is a big step. So a lot of people try, on this show, I'll get to the end and I'll say, what should the listeners do next, or where can they find you? And they will give out their Instagram, their LinkedIn and their website. And I'm like, no, the listeners aren't going to do that. Give them one clear call to action that is more of an experience. So really giving your best secrets away, because people aren't going to just go and run Google ads tomorrow because they don't have the information. They want you to help them implement their paid strategy. So how do you take them from the podcast episode over to them being a client? And that's the gap that we want to help.
So you coach them through that, and you get feedback when they're guests.
Once they can see this working for them, and they have a bit more confidence because they've been the guest on so many podcasts, trust me, it's a lot easier doing my role, just asking you questions. It's harder for you, right? I'm just asking you questions. So it's a lot easier to host, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes to get a successful podcast up and running. So yes, our focus is a lot more on helping people show up as you have done today, as a great guest, and then how to move them into actually being a client.
Positioning them to the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this builds the know and trust. Because I'm sure there's listeners out there that are probably, I'm sure they know at a certain level that if they want to scale their business, at some point they're going to have to run paid ads, but they're fearful of it. So for those people who possibly are ready now, but they don't have enough information to do it themselves, what should the listeners do next?
They should definitely come to my website, and I would just mention your thing, and I'll give them a free 45-minute consultation, which I don't do normally, but I would do it for this podcast, because I think that people that do podcasting and stuff, they are usually good on camera. They would be great clients because ads need content. Ads need good-looking people. Yeah, so if they are on camera, they definitely want to be doing ads. So they already got a leg up on people who's not on camera. So yeah, I'll give them a free 45 minutes, have a chat, consultation, review their stuff, and give them some honest advice whether it's going to work or not for them.
Fantastic. And where do they, if they're driving or they're out walking their dog and they don't have access, what's your website? Where do they go to?
digitalgoliath.com.au. It's information.
digitalgoliath.com.
.au.
And if you are driving at the moment or you are out walking your dog, don't worry. All of Jeremy's details will be in the show notes. So be sure to resort back to those. And if you're in that position, and even I would say in hindsight, I know I would have reached a level a lot quicker if I had taken that step, faced my fears, and gone into paid ads a lot sooner, because there are only so many ads in a day, and there is only so much you can do organic marketing, and it is time consuming. And if you don't want to spend your life on social media, as I don't, absolutely not, the other option is to spend your money. And allow Google, allow Meta to target your particular audience, because it does do that so well now. Things have evolved. AI, the way, like Jeremy said earlier, you don't need to put in all this criteria of who your audience is anymore, because
correct.
Facebook, they've got the information already. So they will take from what you're pushing out on your ad, and they know, because they want to help you. They're a business too. They want to make money. They want you to make money, because that way you're going to spend more money with them.
Exactly.
So they are on your side. And I think there's this fear from a lot of people that it's not. So if you are ready, if you're tired, and if you're a little bit stuck, and you've got to the point where, okay, something has got to change, get the right advice. So go to Jeremy's website and take that step. And paid advertising, if you're looking to scale, which surely every business wants to, then it's definitely something at looking at. But getting the right advice, because doing it by yourself, trust me, is an absolute rabbit hole. And so thank you, Jeremy, for that. Great session today. And obviously, guys who are listening, if you have been thinking about hosting your own podcast, maybe think about guesting initially. Because if you want to use guesting as a way to grow your business this year, I also have a gift for you. So if you go to podcastprofitsunleashed.com/free, because it's going to be free for you, I have created a custom trained ChatGPT called Story Bank. Because as Jeremy shared at the beginning, his story of why he's doing what he's doing, stories are the thing that is going to resonate with the listeners. So if you are maybe not a great storyteller, as I am not naturally a great storyteller, this is my free gift to you. You don't even have to give me your email or phone number. You just get instant access to it. Try it, because it will help you deliver your story in a way that's more likely going to resonate with the listeners and help it align with your offer. And if you want more information about how to use guesting, you will also be able to see my mini course, the Podcast Profits Funnel. If you do go through it, there is a caveat to that, and you have to complete it in 5 days, complete all the short assignments. And if you do, you will get the reward video where you can't get access to it anywhere else. It is part of my 5K offer. And that is how to automate your sales. Because as Jeremy spoke earlier, you've got to do sales. So if you don't want to be doing sales calls and you want to be able to automate your sales process, complete the course. So go to podcastprofitsunleashed.com/free. You get the ChatGPT for free. And then you can take a look at the course, which is only $5, by the way. So go and check it out. And I will be back next week. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to today's episode on the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast. If you're